Welcome to Live at Leabu. We are going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about some just basic computer things for the embroiderer. So for all of you who struggle at home to get that file downloaded from the internet and then to your USB to get it on your machine, we're going to talk about all of those steps and how to do that. And then maybe some organizational tips at the end on once you start compiling multiple files, how you can make that work a little bit easier to locate what you're looking for. So thank you for joining me this morning, or whatever time it is when you happen to watch this. I'm going to go ahead and switch screens and jump right in. I think this is my computer. Look at that. All right, I'm actually going to turn off the little overlay thing so that you can see the screen a little better. A little bit more screen on there. Okay. Let's give that a go. Good morning, Mom. Hello, hello. All right, we're going to jump right in. This is just my desktop. I have, as you can see, way too much stuff on there. They actually don't recommend that you have this many files on the desktop. I actually cleaned it up some. It was even worse than that. My program shortcuts tend to go on the right side of my screen when I am organizing all of the different things that are on the desktop. And then I have files and things that I access quite frequently, or I'm currently working on the left side. So that's kind of where my organizational thought process goes for my desktop, but it does tend to get cluttered up when I'm working on lots of things because I leave them all up there. Good morning, Miss Sandy. All right, let's jump into the internet. So when we go to the internet, there's lots of course, different places that we can maybe buy files from. So this is my Sweet Pea file. I've already logged in prior to getting online with you guys this morning so that you guys could see. And I've just clicked on my orders tabs. So in here are the different orders and the different things that I have purchased over time. And you can go in and grab any individual file, or you can grab like the entire piece. So if I wanted to download, let's say this little headphone zipper case, if Caitlin's watching, I bought that because I thought maybe we could make that sometime. Hey there, how you doing, Deb? And Carolyn. Hopefully Carolyn can see me this morning. Hopefully the eye's opening up and it's going well. Fingers crossed for you. All right, so if I want to get into that, I can hit this guy here. And this is what that is. I can access my digital content. I love this about Sweet Pea. They tell you if you've already bought the file, so you don't rebuy it. It literally says, if I put this in my cart would say you already own this. And I can access the digital file right on the page for their website. It shows me that I can access that. That tells me I already own it anyways. So if I click on that, it takes me back to that page that we were kind of on earlier. They do sometimes, most of the time, have multiple German and English. Of course, I only want the English. So I'm just going to click on that. And I don't know if you saw the little arrow that went up on the right side of my screen. This is the download button. Can you guys see that? Not very well. Let's do this and make it a little bit bigger. Even though I took off most of that, that other overlay is hiding it a little. Let's just make this about that. Okay, so when I clicked download, it had a little arrow and thing that, and it kind of went up my screen. That's not necessarily going to happen on everyone's computer, but by all means, it's going to go to the same spot unless you have gone into programming and told it to go somewhere differently, which I'm going to guess most of you have not done. So this button right here, if I click on it, will show me my recent download history, and I can see what all of those different things are. I can see my full download history as well. I can click on this, or I can click over here and show which folder that it went to. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to show you another way to find that information. So it comes in and it goes into my downloads folder. So you guys see that here. This is the downloads folder. So it's on my C drive, which is my hard drive, and it's going to go through and show where that's at. So this, if you don't know where it went, you can click on show in folder and it will show you that. And right here is the file English instructions for the headphone zipper case. Okay, so This is one way to find that. You can also come across the bottom of your screen and find the Manila folder across the very, very bottom and click on that. And it will give you a additional, basically a full file piece to look at. So this is what is called your File Explorer. And you can access that by the Manila folder at the bottom of your screen. These happen to be files that I was working for Sippin' on Sunshine. If you have not taken a peek at that, it is very, very cute. And I have just about finished the files. So we've got multiple quilting files that will come for free with your purchase of that bundle. But that's not why we're here. Over on the left-hand side, you can see my mouse moving and highlighting different things on the left. One of those tabs that is always going to be there is your downloads folder. When you click on that, it looks exactly like the one that it took me to. So you can see the files and everything look exactly the same as this. It's just another way to get there. So instead of going on my web page where I downloaded it and going through that download section, I can also just come to my desktop, click on the Manila folder at the bottom, and then get that window that pops up, click on downloads, and here I am. One of the things that is the most popular problem that I have seen is people will take this folder and put it on their USB, and then they said, you know, I didn't do it right. I don't have anything that showed up, nothing showing on my screen. But when I take my USB back to the computer, it shows that I have those files. So why aren't they showing up on my embroidery machine? None of our embroidery machines can read a zip file. So pretty much every computer these days, when you buy one, is going to come with the ability to open a zip folder without having to do anything. Like lots of things, there's more than one way that we can do this. I can right click and I can hit extract all right here, which will do basically open that folder and show me everything that's inside the zipped folder. All right. The other thing that I can do is just double click, and that is with my left click standard button on my mouse. I'm going to double click and it opens. So those are two different ways that you can open a zip folder. Zip folders are, again, unreadable by your machine, so you do have to open them and get the individual files out. Welcome to all of those of you who are just joining us. And I can see here there's a 6x10, there's a 7x12 file, and I have some instructions in either Word or Adobe. So depending on what your ability to open files is, if you've got Word, you could open this one. If you don't, you can open the Adobe PDF file, and then that would be able to be there. I would want to make the bigger one, so I would open the 7x12, and here are all of the file extensions, and it looks like an SVG file. So if I have a cutting machine that I want to use, I can take that file and put it on my USB as well. The file for our brother and baby lock machines is the PES, P as in Paul, E as in Edward, S as in Sam, that I have highlighted right there in the center. So if I wanted the cut file, I would want this one and this one to put on my USB. I'm going to go through the whole download thing one more time, especially for all of you just joining us. So I'm going to close out some of these windows so I don't have as many things open. This is my internet. So this is my Google button, my Chrome, I guess, depending on what you call what, right? We were at Sweet Pea. So Sweet Pea, again, I have bought multiple different types of things depending upon what interested me at the time or whatnot. Sorry, pardon. And all of that is going to be in here. Most companies will allow you to come back and let you re-download something. And some places have an unlimited number of downloads. Some of them have a small number of downloads. This particular, I think you have 50 different download options. So I'm going to click on the download tab here just so that you guys can see what that might look like. And then for this particular one, I bought the whole quilt that you can do in the hoop. So when I go to this, you can see that I've downloaded it one of the 50 times that I am allotted for this. So hopefully you haven't lost the file 50 times. Sometimes our computers crash and we weren't able to get some of our files off and we have to go back and grab them. Hey, Jane, how you doing? And then sometimes it's just easier to go get it than it is to find it wherever we happen to hide it on our computer, right? So this will show you if you do have a number, it would show you right there. And then how many times you've downloaded it so that you know how much you have left of that access. So again, I would click on the download here. It would go to my download folder here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that one more time here so you can see that. And there's that little arrow that pops up and then it tells me that the files and instructions, and it pops up and it shows me that those are now done and it's in that downloads folder. Again, I can click on it. I can show it in the folder, or I can just go down to the bottom of my screen, click my File Explorer. I get that File Explorer button. I go to my Download tab, and then there is that new Ethereal Grove piece. Again, it's a zip folder. Most files that you get from a designer online, unless it's a single file and there's only one. So you've said, I want the PES file and I want this one. So it's literally a file and there's no extra anything coming with that. If it's just a file, then sometimes you'll download it and it will show you just that file sitting there. I don't know if I have any, I have lots of zips here, and Wonder Woman. So if it's just one, you could download just that one thing. Otherwise, it usually comes in a zipped folder because it allows you to download more in a folder at a time. So it compresses the files so that they're able to go over the internet more simply. It's really all it is. Again, my computer can read a zip folder. I can open that and I can get into it, but your embroidery machine cannot. So you cannot just take a zip folder and put that on a USB. Okay. So you do have to open that and pull out the files. All right. One more time. I'm going to close this. And I'm going to go to my Kimberbell. So this is my Kimberbell account. You can see here's my initials up here in the corner. And then these are all of the different files that I have purchased over time. I did the Perfectly Pieced for quite a while, so I have quite a few in here. And I did the original Christmas Village piece in there too. And then, of course, there's some Bella boxes and stuff like that. So if I wanted to do something in this Bella box, I would simply click download on that particular file. And lo and behold, it will go into that download folder here. And there it is, Family Tree Zip. I can click directly on that and it'll go to that folder. I can click show in folder, which will tell me where it's at if I don't remember what file to look into. Okay. Or again, I can go to the bottom of my screen and go to my File Explorer and open that. And then I was in downloads the last time, so it automatically went in there. And there's that Family Tree Zip. Now notice there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in most of these file names. If you look at all of these, that's a lot of information. It doesn't just say Family Tree Bella Box. And most of the time, files are not that simple to necessarily recognize. And sometimes you just get the file number and you don't even get a description. So it's really hard to know what's in that zip folder. I personally have a very bad habit of downloading everything and then not doing anything with these files. And then I come back and I'm like, I don't know what that was or where they go or any of that kind of thing. So we're going to talk about organization here in just a little bit. I just wanted to show you about those downloads. So again, click the download button on whatever website, sorry, pardon, whatever website you've purchased from. And they generally, unless you have programmed something different, it will go to your downloads folder. You can access that downloads folder from the link of the downloads on your Chrome or Edge or whatever you use to surf the net. or you can just come down and click on the File Explorer button at the bottom of the screen, and then this piece will open up. So this window is going to show you basically everything that you have on your hard drive. And it's separated out by fixed folders where things are sometimes automatically sent. If you scroll down on the left, you'll see this PC, and right now it just says local disk. I don't have anything else plugged in. So I don't have a USB, I don't have an external drive. Nothing else is plugged in. So the only thing that I see down there is my C drive, which is my hard drive. And that is the memory that comes with the computer when you purchase it. So how much space you have on your hard drive is going to be dependent upon how much you have file-wise, how many programs, all of that kind of stuff. If you have pictures, pictures tend to take up a decent chunk of space. If you want to know, you can click on, this PC, and it will show you of the terabyte of memory. I have about 200 gigabytes left. So I'm getting there. I probably need to clean up some stuff. There's a lot of files in here that I don't need. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute too. So every time I download, and I'm going to go back to the downloads folder here on the left. So there it is. I'm going to click that. And then here's all those downloads. Those are the 3 that I just did. And then these are the ones when I went and bought stuff the other day, I downloaded them and then I left them there because that's what my bad habit is. If you can get in the habit of filing that immediately, then you won't come back and wonder what the heck that might be. So I don't see any questions about any downloading. If you have some, please feel free to type them in. So this is, once you have the file downloaded, where you're going to find it. You're going to find it in your File Explorer, and you are going to go to the Downloads folder within that. From here, we can do whatever we want with it, but we do need to open that folder because I can't put just that zip folder on my drive for my machine to be able to read. So I'm going to work with that headphone zipper case, that first one, and I'm going to double click, and this is everything that is inside of that zipped folder. So they were able to put all of this information in, it downloaded very quickly because of the zip folder. So in here, I have 2 different file sizes. So there was 2 different sizes of the little zippered bag. This is those 2 sizes. So for me, I would want to make the larger one. So I would want those files. Now, a lot of us do have the ability to do wireless transfer. And I'm going to show you that real quick. Wireless is, it's definitely very fast. And it's something that a lot of us maybe don't have in our habit piece. So I've been embroidering for, a little while. And the habits that you formed when you started are sometimes very hard to break. So I almost never use the wireless just because I'm so used to putting everything on a USB. And then I can move multiple files and that kind of thing. But there's a way to move multiple files, and it's a free piece. It's called Design Database Transfer. It's right here. I'm going to click on that and open that. So double click and it will open. And I'm going to very briefly show you this because this isn't the specific topic of today. But this looks very similar to the File Explorer that we have behind it. You have a list of everything on the left-hand side. And then you have what is in that particular folder. So I'm going to go and see if I can go to this guy here. And I've got all of these folders. And then if you scroll down a little farther, I have a whole bunch of zip folders too, right? So all of that we saw when we clicked on the downloads button. Here is the home zone, and here is the home zone PES. So here are the files, and I can physically see what they look like. This is free. It's a download. If you have a wireless machine, you can go to Brother or Baby Lock and download this particular program for free. You can see what your files are, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that here in a minute. And then I could take all of June's files and select all of them and put them in the box at the bottom if I wanted to work on that particular piece. And then what I'm going to do is connect to my machine, and I'm going to hit the send button, which is this guy here. So it's going to transfer it down to whatever machine that I have linked. I can send multiple designs, and I can send without having to worry about, where's my USB and how big is it and all of that. What is the pocket on your baby lock machine? The pocket stands for memory and any saved file, whether that be your machine memory, whether that be, I got the wrong mouse. That's why that's not working. Here we go. So the pocket is the saved information. So depending upon whether you have one of the newer machines or one that was designed anyways a little bit ago, the newer ones mostly have a pocket for memory information instead of like a USB symbol right on the main screen. So you would hit your pocket and then that would open up and then you would hit your USB button. And so that is what that pocket is for. You can put things in pockets. You can put things out of pockets. You can definitely move those around. And again, it's machine memory, USB, a wireless transfer. Any of those things are going to be found in the pocket. You will also find a pocket interiorly. I'm so sorry, excuse me. Inside some of the different features in the machines. For instance, if I'm saving a sewing stitch, I would also hit that pocket button to save that. So it literally just means saving saved items. You're going to put it in your pocket and save it for later, and then you can take it out of your pocket when you're ready for it. So that's the visual, if you will, and how that works. Again, this program that I have on screen is called Design Database Transfer. It is a free download. And I think one of the wonderful things about that is the ability to physically see what the design is instead of just 5x7 June number 4. All right. So why does that matter? That matters because if I don't have viewing software on my computer, when I go into one of these, I won't necessarily see what that is. Now I'm in a zip folder, and our software that shows us what's in a inside of a zip folder, or the icons like you just saw on that design database transfer, the files look like this instead of a picture like you saw on the other. So you either need viewing software or you need to go into that database transfer. The PE design software and palette software does come with viewing software included, or you can purchase that loosely. If you did read the email I sent out last night, I did put the link into the viewing software just because I thought somebody might want to know what the heck that one was. Is the pocket only on the wireless machines? Yes, it is only appearing on the wireless machines as of the moment. I don't know whether that is going to be on other machines as well. But everything pretty much that's been redesigned has gone to wireless. The only machines that are not wireless at the moment are the 8x12 series. Pretty much everything else is that's at least dealer line. And I know that the Stellaire and Meridian, that size machine, they actually still have the USB icon on screen. At least they did the last time I looked. So that hasn't been changed, but I have not seen it on a non-wireless machine. That is absolutely correct, Sandy. All right. So I'm in a zip folder here. I can't see what I have. If I click on my view tab, it doesn't matter what I click on. That's not going to change. I can change the size of what I have here, but I can't see it. Being able to see what file you have in there is extremely helpful, because then I can know that that's the file I actually wanted, rather than, oops, I sent the wrong one to the machine or to the USB. So if I want to see that, I have to move this out of a zip folder so that I can see them, unless I'm just taking all of them and then it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to drag and move this over, and I'm going to copy that 7x12 folder. So now when I click on my downloads, I have a folder that says 7x12. Notice there's no zip here because I took it out. I moved it out of the folder and I just dragged and dropped. I could also do a copy and paste, which I could do by right clicking, going to copy, right click again and click paste, or across the top of the screen. If I have something highlighted, I have copy. And once I have something copied, then I have paste option right at the top of the screen as well. But what I wanted to point out is if I change my view to my icons, now I can see what those are. Why is that important? Well, I want to make sure I'm grabbing the right file. So if this was a whole slew of things, I could pick and choose. Do I want number 4? Do I want number 5? Or whatever out of my individual folder that I have here. And I'm going to show you some other folders here in a little bit when we talk about organization. But seeing what you have is very, very helpful. So right now I'm in that 7x12 folder, and I can move that to my USB, or I could send those to my machine using Design Database Transfer. If you have Artspira, you could also send files through Artspira. If you have Artspira paid version, you can actually bring in files and send them through there as well. But those are one file at a time. So it's a little bit different. I like USBs, then I can start, stop, and whatnot, and know exactly where my stuff is at. Here at the shop, I jump in sometimes, so having it on a USB is super helpful. Yes, Sandy, that's correct. It would not be on the Elissimo. That was started way past that. The first machine that had that was the Luminaire, and then they started trickling down to other new machines as they were being released. So you are correct. That is the difference between that. Yep, you got it. All right. So I have, I'm going to switch cameras again here real quick. Other mouse. Da, 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 da. Hi. So I just wanted to talk about USBs for just a second. We certainly have 1.5 million options to USBs out in the world. So what is the right one to choose? How do you know? And that sometimes does depend upon your machine. So if you have a smaller hoop size, so a 4x4, a 5x7, even into the 6x10s, I would not get a huge USB and transfer over my design. Even if there's only that one file on that USB, the way the machines work is you plug your USB in. So I have a slew of them here just so that you guys can see, you know, they come and look like, sometimes you can get sewing machine ones. Sometimes you can get other sewing machine ones. I kind of collect these just a little bit, you know, because I don't collect enough items. I need to continue with more things. So I have a little stitch, and you separate stitch, and inside is the USB, and he looks super cute on your table or whatever when you're not using him. I've got a Harry Potter one. I have a baby lock one that looks like a tube of lipstick that you spin off the bottom, and inside is your USB. So they come in all shapes and forms. They can be fun. I like the fun. But my current computer has only USB-C slots, which means I can't plug a standard USB into my computer unless I have an adapter on. So I found these really cool USBs that rotate, and I have a USB-C, or I have a standard USB. So I can use this and plug it into my computer, put my files on the USB, and then flip it and put it into my machine, and it works both sides, which is really great. So I have a couple different ones. This is the same thing. It's just made by a different company. They're really very helpful. So if you happen to be in that boat as well, I would definitely look into that. Again, the size of your USB is what's going to make a difference on that kind of thing. If you are looking for something small and you can't find them, we do sell them here. They're $10 for a 2 gigabyte stick. You can fit a crimey, holy cow, just so many, it's a whole lot of designs. They are not actually very big when you're talking about size from that. Even if it's a huge embroidery design, it's still not very big memory wise that's going to go on that stick. So you can put a shite load on there and it will still work. But what happens when you plug in that USB is it reads the whole USB. Even if you only have one thing on there, it has to look at the entire memory bank in there to make sure that you only had that one, because it doesn't know you only have one. It reads the whole stick. So if you put in a 64 gigabyte stick in a machine that doesn't have as strong of a computer in it, it's going to take forever, and it might just keep trying to read it and 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 never actually load, because there's too much information for it to go through, which is why we recommend the smaller ones. So I would not go any larger than an 8 gigabyte stick for any of those that are like 8 by 12 and under. That's probably what I would do. Will some of the others work? Yes, occasionally, but you're going to have some waiting times and that kind of thing. The larger machines can absolutely access and read larger USB sticks. The new top of the lines actually like the larger ones, I think, a little better than the smaller ones, because it's a little bit more computer in there. It can read that. So, okay, we're going to switch screens again, and I'm going to talk about the USB and how to get that there and multiple different ways to make that happen. So here we go. Don't remove. We want this one. Yay, there's the screen. All right. I am going to put in one of those USBs that I just showed you. And when you plug that in, you generally will get a window that pops up that says, hey, this is everything that's on your USB. So again, unless you have programmed somewhere in there for this to not happen, this happens when you plug in a USB stick, an external hard drive, pretty much anything you plug it in, you're going to get a window that says what you just plugged in. Okay. So you can see I might have a few things happening. So I've got a lot of different things on here. This is the digital dealer for 2026. This was the month of March's file. So that I just stitched out. I used this to do that. I've got all kinds of different things on here because, like I said, I use this for lots of things. So I do keep files on here. Here's the files that I stitched out last week. And those were really fun. We have those samples here at the shop. If you pop in, we actually have the little chicken finished up on this front counter. He's really cute. Okay, so all the stuff on your USB, can it all be there? For sure, absolutely. It's going to read everything and throw all of the stuff that it can find and that your machine can read on the screen of your machine. So sometimes having too much on that stick means you have to find it when you get to the machine. So that's up to you how much you want to put on there. What I want to do is I want to transfer my headphone bag to that USB. So I'm going to find my headphone bag. And again, I can change my view so I can physically see what those look like. And I need my PES file. So none of those are it. There's my PES. I only need the PES file. So remember I was telling you that we have a lot of files that we don't actually need. That's because I don't need any of the other file extension. So that is something that you can throw away. Only keep the files that your machine can read. There's converting software. You can always go back and re-download something if you need a new file extension type later on. But don't bog down your computer with literally 10 different file extensions of every file. You only need the one that you use. And yes, Sandy, we do this every Wednesday. I go live at 9 a.m. It's recorded. You can find that on Facebook for about 30 days afterwards. And they are permanently on our YouTube channel as well. So it looks like you're on Facebook. So if you're looking on there, I do think that they're a little bit harder to find in Facebook. It's just not as, the search is not quite as easy. However, they are there for about 30 days. Unfortunately, Facebook changed their policies about a year ago-ish. And so they only keep videos for 30 days. And then they fall off and they're no longer available to be found by you guys. But YouTube, they're all there. And I do try to organize them so that they're in playlists, but you can use the search feature inside our page as well to locate things, or just go to the playlist and go through there. So yes, this is weekly, and I would love to have you join me every Wednesday. I am sorry. My mouth is super dry. I've got a bottle here of water next to me, but it's really hard to drink and talk at the same time. So here we go. Okay, so you can see this. This is the one that I need. I'm going to highlight that. All right, so there's a blue box around that. Yes, YouTube as well. You betcha. Okay, so I have a blue box around the PES thing, and I clicked one click. I didn't double click. I clicked one click. If I double click, my computer is going to open that file with software. So I just did that. You can see my PE design software is not plugged in, so it won't open it because my PE soft design is on my desk and I'm not at my desk. So that's why that won't open. I could right click and have it open with and choose what I'm going to open it with. So I could open it with something else, but I don't actually want to open the file. All I want is this blue box. That's all I want, because that is telling the computer that I have selected that particular file. Now I can right click and get my tools, but because I have a blue box and something selected, those tools across the top have highlighted. So I can click copy, and then I can go to where I want to put it, and then I can click paste. I can right click, click on copy, and now that's on my clipboard, and then move to where I want it to go, and I'll come down to that in just a second. Or the last thing is I can click it and then drag it. So you see how that box is moving? That's because I clicked on it and then I'm dragging it. That's called drag and drop. And what you're doing is telling the computer where you want that to go. Again, on the left-hand side of your screen is all of the permanent places that are available to just click on and go to your computer. But if you scroll down, there's that PC, there's the local disk that I told you about earlier, right? Before that was the only thing that was here, but I plugged in a USB. And so now my USB drive is going to show up. If you have renamed that USB drive, that would be there. So I think my Stitch USB is called Stitch. When you plug it in, it says Stitch there, and then D in parentheses. So I want it to go here. If I just want the loose file, I can just paste that. If I want to make a folder, I can do that as well. So it just depends on what you want and how you want it to go. So if you're going to be moving multiple files, I would put a folder in there and then put them all in that folder. But I just want this one. So again, I can click on it, click on copy up at the top. All right. Then go to my D drive. And then I can either click paste from the top by selecting the D drive and then clicking paste, or I can right click right on the D drive and go to paste. Okay. So I now have put that file there because I copied it. I went to where I wanted it to go, and then I pasted it. And you can do that again in multiple different ways. We've got our tools across the top of the File Explorer window. Copy, paste, cut, change the name. You can do all of those things very easily right here. You can also go to that item and right click. You'll get a drop down menu where you have those same things right across the top. You've got your copy. So you can, again, you click on copy, you go to where you want it, you right click and you click on paste. All of those things work very well. I tend to drag and drop, which means I go to my item, I use my left mouse button, I hold that down and I drag it to where I want it to go. And I just want it on my D drive, so I let go. That's dropping. Now I've dropped it. It says, hey, there's already one there. We're just going to go ahead and replace it. You could click skip, whichever. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to click on that D drive again. And now it's showing me what is in there. And lo and behold, there is my zipper headphone file on my USB. Now at this point, a lot of you are like, woohoo, I got the file on my USB, and you pull it out of the computer and you go to your machine. That's okay. You can do that, but that does tend to fragment files. And if you do that all the time, you'll probably get some corrupted files that won't work properly and you won't be able to read them. The correct way to pull your USB out of the machine is to go to the USB, right click, and click on eject. that tells the machine, I'm done with this, I'm going to pull it out. And so it stops trying to read the disk. So you're stopping anything that the computer's doing with that. It's kind of like yanking the cord out of the wall when something's still being used. Same concept. All right. So we need to tell it to stop being used before we pull it out. So right click and then go to eject. Across the bottom of your screen, you also have a little caret arrow that points up. And I know that I have that. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Hang on just a second. Media assets. Where's the little bar? It's here somewhere. I think it's a banner. Let's just hide that for a second. Okay. So now you can see the bottom of my my screen. I'm going to go back to comments just in case somebody says something so I can see you. Okay, there we go. So also, in addition to being able to right click right on there, you can come down to the bottom of the screen. And what you've got is this little caret guy right here. And there's hidden icons below that. If you click on that, you'll get a little pop-up piece. And one of those looks like a USB. If you have a USB plugged in, that will be there. And when you click on that, it then says, hey, what one? And there's my eject flash drive. I click on that, and now it is quote unquote safe. And there it says safe to remove hardware. I can pull that USB out and then take it to my machine. If you notice, it is no longer listed here because I ejected it and I removed it from the machine. So the correct way to pull a USB out is to eject it first. Are you going to blow anything up if you don't do that? No, but over time it will cause defragmented files on that USB and the USB won't function properly. You'll end up having to reformat it, and that basically deletes everything on the USB, which sometimes we don't want that to happen. So, okay, that is how we're going to put something on a USB. I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to take my USB and I'm going to plug that into the side of my computer. When I plug it in, I automatically will get a window just like this that pops up and tells me what is on this USB. So this one, I have quilty little Christmas files, home sewn files. So I've got some different things in there. And oh, look, there's my little collage class that we did a couple weeks ago. So that's that file there as well. So I want to put a file on here. If I want to make a folder here, because I'm going to put multiple files, I can right click in any blank space, go to new and go to folder. That will put a folder on there and then I can name it. Okay. Or I can come up to the top because that's what's selected here. I can click new here and go to folder and it will do the same thing. And then I name it. Okay. So now when I drag a file over or I copy and paste a file over, I can put it right in a folder rather than having all of those loose, which can make it easier to find your files. So let's drag one more file or copy and paste one more set of files anyways. Let's go back to the downloads folder. All right, here's my Ethereal Grove. When I open that up, all kinds of stuff comes up. I've got multiple different size options and I have my instructions. Can you put your instructions on that USB? Yes, you can, but your computer in the machine is not going to read it, but you can put it on there if you want to, just so that you can easily access that. But your embroidery machine will not read the instruction files. It will only read those PES files. All right. So I want to go to the biggest block that I can find. I'm just going to go to the 8x8 one here. And in here, I have a whole list of different pieces here. These are all of the file types. Again, I only need that PES and maybe the SVG files if that's what I'm going to be doing, cutting as well as stitching. The other thing that I could do is, rather than fuss with all of that, and I'm not sure what size, I can actually take and select. I can hold my shift key down and travel to more than one and click again, and it will select anything in between. Or I can select, say I want the 6x6 and I want the 8x8. I can hit the control key and then select my second one, and it will only select the items that I have clicked on and not necessarily anything in between there. So the shift will do everything in between your first click and your second click. The control key allows you to click multiple items and have them selected without getting extra stuff. So if I want both of these folders, I can come down to my F drive, and then there's that test folder. I can again drag those here and let go, and it's going to move those over. I'm going to click on that folder so you can see what's in it. There they are. All right. Excuse me. Or I can take one folder. I can still do that copy, or I'm sorry, control and select more than one file. And then I can use my buttons here. So I can hit copy here, or I can right click on top of one of them and click copy here. Then I can go to my folder, and I'm going to use the other folder so it doesn't tell me that it's already in there. I can right click and I can hit paste, or I can click that folder. That's what's going to come here. And I can click paste up here and it will put it in that folder. Boom, there they are. Now, these are no longer zip folders, which means I can see the pretty pictures of what that block is going to look like when I'm stitching it. All right. So you can see how helpful it is to be able to see the actual block on here and know that this is the one that I need versus the other one, or so on and so forth. Sometimes it's a size thing. This is an 8x8 one. If I go into the 6x6, it says 6x6 there. So I would get that 6x6 file when I'm on my computer. If that's, I'm sorry, when I'm on the machine, I would pull whichever file I decided to use once I got there. So you have multiple different things. In the home sewn, I have 3 months, and inside each month folder, I had all 6 of the panels. So how you organize your files is very personal. I'm going to show you what I do, but you do have, lots of options. You don't have to do what I do. It's definitely very personal of this is what works for me. So that said, we're going to go look at my crazy amount of files that I have on my computer. But I also want to show you one other thing, and that is an external drive. So I'm going to eject this just so that there's less up on my computer so you guys aren't seeing too many things. And I have an external hard drive. I will show you a picture of what that is here in just a second, but I'll hold it up to the screen when I switch back to the camera. So I've plugged in my external hard drive, and this is going to the D because it's the first one that I plugged in. And I have all kinds of stuff on here. I have videos on here. I have pictures on here. And I have basically everything that's on my computer. Here, I try to back up so that I have it and I don't lose anything. That is probably one of the hardest things, is when you have your computer crash, you don't know what you had on there. So if you have a backup of it, and I like a hard backup that I can access immediately, not have to go search on my OneDrive or my Apple Drive or wherever it ended up going in the auto backup, I still have to go search and find it. When it's on my hard drive, it's right here, and I can reload everything to my new computer or whatever. Once you get the computer fixed, you can reload because you have everything there. So if you can get in the habit of doing a backup, it definitely will help you. And so this is my external hard drive. If I look at what it has available, it has multiple terabytes of memory, and I've only used a very little bit of it. So even with all of those files on there, I'm still barely taking up room. The larger the hard drive, the more you can put on there. They don't necessarily last forever. So if you've had one for a really long time, it would not necessarily be a bad idea to refresh that every 5 years or whatever number, buy a new one, transfer everything to the new one, and then have that. Having multiple backups is not necessarily bad either. When you get into the number of files that I have, I would never in a million years be able to find all of the files that I have on my computer to go and search on the different websites and re-download them. I would never find them all. It just wouldn't happen. So I'm going to go and show you what I have here. Let's make this as big as we can without being off the screen. Let's see. There we go. All right. I think you guys can see all of that. All right. Hand side again, these are the fixed pieces. So I have my home screen. That just gives me the tabs of my quick access pieces, and then the most recent files that I was working on. There's that headphone zipper case, the Ethereal Grove. That's what we were just doing. So in my documents, I'm going to click on documents, and this is my documents file. I have lots of different things here. They are not all embroidery files. Obviously, I crochet, so I have crochet files. My husband wanted me to do a hat, so I have a folder for the stuff that he wanted me to do. Got all kinds of different things. I have scan and cut files. I have very specifically work files versus personal files, all of that kind of stuff. I make a folder for everything. I'd rather have 10 folders and then put those 10 folders in another folder or whatever to make something more organized in here. So my house is a hot mess, but my computer files generally are pretty good because if they're messy, it's very hard to find what you're looking for. And then you just waste tons of time searching around your computer. So I have made a embroidery folder. At one point I had an embroidery folder for like ones I bought, and then I had ones that I made. So they were separated out. They weren't all together. I decided that did not work as well as I thought for me. So I dumped everything in just one folder. So when I click on my embroidery folder, then I have all of these folders. So folders within folders. And I do have some things that are loose at the bottom. There's multiple reasons for that. I'm not going to get into any of those, but you can have loose files as well. It doesn't mean that you have to put everything in a folder, but it will help you locate different pieces. So my Kimberbell tended to be what I was looking for the most. So I put a number 1 in front of it because numbers are first. So I didn't want it to be alphabetized and have my Kimberbell folder be a couple pages down, because I tend to get into that one a lot. Inside my Kimberbell folder, so this is all of my Kimberbell stuff, I have the name of whatever that CD was, or possibly in a group of, these are the 22-inch pillows. This is all of the certified events. These are bench pillows. I also have one that says, where'd it go? Dun, dun, dun. Large quilt designs. So all that big stuff on the wall, all of those big things, I click on that, and then I have folders within there. So I don't have to search and know, now what was the name of that one? I know it was a large quilt design. I can come in here and I'm going to go, oh yes, it was We Wish You a Merry Christmas. And then I can find it. So I don't necessarily have to remember the name of everything of those big ones. I save them in there. If I have multiple types of, like there was volume 1, volume 2, I will put those together. So journal covers, I have multiple things. Excuse me. So again, how you organize, it totally depends on you. Dealer exclusives, that's another thing that there's a whole bunch of inside of that. So the different volumes, and then I've got, used to do workshops with those. And so those are the workshop files. So I had those grouped in there as well. So inside my Kimberbell folder, I have multiple folders, and they are either named the design pack or a group that is, for instance, the large quilt designs. When I click on that grouping, all of those large designs are in there instead of having them mixed into the other one and having to remember the names. I don't know about you guys, but you know, some of that older stuff, I don't remember what it was called, however long later, right? So having that is a little bit easier. So that's how I do Kimberbell. Perfectly pieced, I did for multiple years. And so I put them all in a different order in those different years. Inside of there, I have the zip folders or the broken out folders When I'm bored in front of the TV, a lot of times on the weekend, I will take in those zip folders that I have stored in the quote unquote correct place. I will open the zip folders and get rid of all of that and clean that kind of stuff up. So I will tend to file my, excuse me, file my zip folders inside of another folder that I know that they go in. And then when I have free time, I go in and I look at the different folders, and then I clean up and I get rid of zip folders and make new folders for whatever is in those zip folders. So for instance, all of that sweet pea stuff that I just bought, I have a sweet pea file folder here. So what I could do is I can open that, and there's again a few things in here, right? And what I can do is I can get another folder. So I'm going to right click on my File Explorer button. I'm at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click File Explorer, and I get another window. So on this one, I can click on my downloads, and there's all of those zip folders that these all came from. I basically re-downloaded anything from Sweet Pea in case I had something that I was missing, plus all of the new things that I have. So I am going to make this particular window much smaller. All right. And then this is my Sweet Pea file. So this is my zip drive over on the right-hand side. I'm all of the zip drives that I have from Sweet Pea, and I want all of that to go into my Sweet Pea folder. So I clicked the very first one and I selected it. One click and it turns blue. That's what I want. I'm going to go to the bottom now. And this one is the last in that group. So I'm going to push my shift key down, and then I'm going to click on the last one, and everything in between that first and the last, excuse me, the first and the last will highlight. So those are all blue now. Now I can drag and drop them over here, or I can copy and paste them. Whichever way you are the most comfortable is what you should do. If you feel like you don't have a very good control of your mouse, then copy and paste might be the better route, because I definitely have dropped the files in the wrong spot before, and having to fix that's not fun. There's no quick undo button that will just fix that for you. So these are all Sweet Pea files. I'm just going to dump all of that. I'm dragging it, and it says there's 39 pieces I'm going to move to Sweet Pea. And I let go, and now they're all going to start filling in down here. Okay, so here they have all added to my Sweet Pea folder. And then if I had anything else, is this dog not absolutely adorable? Look at this little crazy thing. She actually smiles. This was my Valentine's Day present, and she will probably be with me next week. This isn't that smile just the most cutest thing you've ever seen? Gotta love it. She's just absolutely adorable. Anyway, totally off track there, right? Sorry. So if I come back up here and I had all of those folders, I moved them all into Sweet Pea. So they are all where they go. They are no longer in my downloads folder. Now I could have right clicked and hit copy and then right click and hit paste somewhere else, but moving it is actually what I want. I don't want all of that in my downloads folder, because that can actually slow down your machine. So you definitely want to clear out your downloads folder at least periodically, right? So let's see. I think this one and this one, and this one were also all Sweet Pea files. So we're going to move those over here as well. Oh, I've got it open somewhere. That makes sense. We'll just skip it. That's fine. Okay. So that is now my Sweet Pea, and I have all of these in here. So what I would do, I have a lot of different blocks for the Ethereal Grove. I would create a new folder that is called Ethereal Grove. All right. And then anything that I had that was Ethereal Grove, I would put in that folder. So just here, these are all block of the month pieces. that go in that folder. And I'm going to move those inside there. So I'm just going to clean up even in here and put things inside of that. So this goes in there. That one does not go in there. Anything that was that block of the month piece is going to be part of that folder. Assembly instructions. And then it looks like these two. So I'm going to move those to that folder as well. Now in here, I can start opening these things and then make a block 1, block 2, block 3, and that kind of thing. And I can organize in here. Once I have, so this is the assembly instructions. I can take this folder and check it. I can drag it to this and move it. And now I have a folder in addition to my zip folder. Now I don't need the zip folder anymore. I've taken everything out of it. So I can have it highlighted and click on the trash. I can right click and hit delete. Doesn't matter how, but I don't need that anymore. I already took all of the information out of it and put it in the folder. So this is what I was talking about going through and seeing things. In the zip folders, I can't see what those files look like. This is what we were talking about, the viewing software and those different things. If you do not have viewing software, this is what everything will always look like for you. So if you don't have viewing software, I would highly recommend you download Design Database Transfer. If you do have it will not ever show you what's in a zip folder. It can't get in there, just like your computer can't, your machine can't read it, neither can that software. But if I go back and I look in that original folder here, it shows me what those actually are. There's no designs in there. So let's do one more. We'll take this guy and I'm going to take, that's not what I want. Where to go? This is block 2. All right, so here's all of this. I would like it to just be one folder. So I'm actually going to go back one click. And I'm going to take that folder and I'm going to move it to Ethereal Grove. And I'm moving it out of the zip. All right, so that was the zip that I was in. Here's everything that was in that zip. So I can again delete that zip. And now when I come in here, I can actually see those files. And that is because the viewing software that I have on my computer. So that Perfect Stitch viewer will allow you to see exactly what you're working with so that you know what file you are choosing when you drag and drop it, copy and paste it to your USB. It comes already with PE Design 10 or 11. So if you have either one of those or you're going to upgrade to that, that would take care of it. The very first piece of software I personally purchased was Stitch Viewer, which is basically a however many year old version of Perfect Stitch Viewer. And it is exactly, they've, I'm sure, improved it, but it's exactly the same thing. It allowed me to see if I had a folder of hearts, which heart I wanted, because they didn't, the description of ABC 1, 2, 3, and then ABC, 4, 5, 6, and ABC 7, 8, 9 didn't tell me anything. Even if heart is in the description, it doesn't tell you anything. So you definitely want to have that viewing software if you don't have it already. I would highly recommend it. I believe it's on sale for $79. It was the best money I think I ever spent because it took the stress out of choosing and moving designs. I could see physically what I was doing. You do not need, so it's a great question. I kind of briefly said something, but just to make sure that everybody hears that, now that I have these files, I do not need to keep the zip. So once I have pulled out all of those files, I can delete the zip folder, and then that's less in your computer and whatnot. Just because you hit delete doesn't mean it actually went anywhere. It went to, good morning, I'm late. Will this work with Embrilliance? So The software that I'm talking about runs actually in your computer. It doesn't actually have anything to do with your editing or digitizing programs. So yes, what it will not work with is actually I'll take that back because it's a dime product. I believe the Mac key will work for that as well. So Embrilliance is a separate unit from there. This is literally going to work with your file explorer so that you can physically see these. When I go into all of my documents of in the embroidery and I come in here, I can actually see what's in here. So if I go to my Celtic, I can see those designs where PK 1008 doesn't tell me anything. I can physically see it and be like, well, this is the one that I wanted to stitch. I didn't want to stitch this one. I want this one. I can see it. And then that's the one I move to go to my USB or whatever it is that I'm doing. So being able to actually go in and see what you have, you know, the Anita Good Design files, I have way more than what's on here. Mariner's Compass was one of my favorite. It has all of these different pieces. Well, I need to know which one. So I pick the right one, and being able to see that is a night and day difference. So that is absolutely, it should work with any type of digitizing software. It's not actually tied with any of the softwares. It actually goes into the computer programming so that the file explorer shows you those pictures instead of just the icon or the flower for the PES design or whatever it happened to look like. You are very welcome. Should you save file types you don't need at the moment? I personally do not. That is a personal choice. So I'm going to back up to this again. So here's my Mariner's Compass folder. If I click on D, I only have the PES folder. I've already deleted the HUS, the VP3s, all of the other ones I deleted because I can't personally use them. So I don't need them on my computer taking up space. If I go into C, it's the same thing. Now, I didn't get through everything. That's one of those things that I do as I'm going through and working on stuff. So running stitch blocks. Yep. So this one I did get through and I got rid of all of the other pieces that I'm not currently using. I don't have that in everything, especially the newer ones. I haven't gotten through there. So I haven't bought an Anita Good Design in many, many years. So I've had that one for a while. But again, if I go into the Sweet Pea files and I go into Ethereal, right? That's what we just did. Ethereal Grove. Now these are all the files. All right. So when I come in here, I've got all of them. So what I generally do is I highlight everything. So I hit Control A. And then holding my control button down, I select the ones I want to keep. All right. So I want the PES file. So with my control button down, I click it. And you see how it's unselected now? It's white. And I want my SVG just in case I decide I want to use that. And then I have that flipped here and flipped here. So that is all of the PES files. So the ones that are highlighted are the ones that I don't use. All right, I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. And everything that is not a PES or an SVG file will eventually disappear. Evidently, it's going to take a second for this one to do its thing. I'm not really sure why it's going to take so long to do that. It usually just disappears. Let's cancel that for a second and try again. There we go. So those are the only ones that I need. So that's all I keep on my computer. And again, once I open up this and I move this into here, I've taken it out of my zip folder. So I already have the files. There's block 1. That's B1. Here's B1 zip. I'm going to delete the zip folder. All right. Now, the zip folder is in my recycle bin. All right. So here's all of the stuff that I just deleted. You have to empty your recycle bin. It's going to hold a whole bunch of memory in there for you that's going to prevent that from running as smoothly as possible. So after every once in a while, you need to go up and empty your recycle bin. You should probably have it programmed to automatically recycle like every 30 days or something like that. But I do recommend that you do that yourself, and that'll help remind you what's in there and where it's actually going. And then if you accidentally deleted something, you can go get it because you know where it's at. So again, go to the downloads folder using your file explorer or any of those buttons that are right on your web page. You're going to copy and paste. You're going to drag and drop, but make sure it is no longer in a zip folder, because unfortunately zip folders just, they don't play friendly with very many things except for that download aspect. It's exactly what you need. So it's definitely an important piece to have that. So I hope this was helpful for you. I'm going to unplug my hard drive here. And I have a little one because it travels with me pretty much every day. I literally put this in my purse when I go home. And then it's plugged into the computer when I'm here. So I have everything at home that I have here, which for me works fairly well. You have to find your own system. But I like having an embroidery folder with all of those files. I keep more than that on my external drive, but that is a personal choice. But definitely highly recommend that you have a backup on a external drive of all of your stuff, because finding them again is super hard and it's not fun. And it takes a lot of time, which I'm sure you would all be rather sewing or doing something more fun than that with your free time. The only other thing I want to mention is these are all super cute, and I have all kinds of them, right? I've told you that. I kind of collect them, the different ones there. They are not intended for a permanent storage device. So please don't think that just because you put it on a USB, you will have it forever. USBs do go bad. External hard drives go bad, but it takes a lot longer and a lot more beating up on those, especially since they've gone to the solid state drives. Solid state drives don't have any moving parts inside, so those don't go very bad very often. But these little guys, unfortunately, do not last forever. So don't think just because you have it on here, you've got it. Put it on your computer, put it on a backup of somewhere. Don't just have it on a USB. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Again, Perfect Stitch Viewer, if you don't already have it, it is an instant download. We can send you a code within minutes and you can get running on your computer if you haven't already gotten something like that. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. That's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I have like 12 million windows open and none of them are the ones I need. Isn't that the way it goes, right? So we are going to sign off for the day. I know we ran a little bit over. You guys had some great questions and I appreciate you sharing. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you guys next week. Not sure exactly what we're doing, but we will figure it out before then and we'll have a good time next week as well. You guys have a great one. We'll see you next time. Bye.